Apple cider vinegar. Maybe the most important item that a homesteader can have in their pantry. This video is going to show the 7 ways that homesteaders can and should be using apple cider vinegar regularly. Before I get into the 7 ways to use it, I want to tell you that when I'm talking about apple cider vinegar, I'm talking about raw apple cider vinegar with the mother still in it. And I would show you the label, but the label just came off of this. But this is Bragg's. Awesome company for apple cider vinegar. It is going to be more expensive to buy apple cider vinegar in the raw. However, I'm going to show you a tip in this video that's going to show you how to cut that cost down tremendously. Alright, tip number 1. You are going to want to add it to your drinking troughs and your waterers for all of your animals on a regular basis. So a really good unit of measurement is 2 tablespoons to 1 gallon. And I spilled just a little bit because I'm sloppy. I'm just going to top it off. Don't be afraid to give more. You're not really going to harm an animal by giving it too much, but you definitely don't want to waste it. Okay, so where does this go? Well, for one, this is the rabbit's water. It's only 11 o'clock and we already got some eggs. Okay, so in here we have our chicken water, which is probably pretty well topped off. It's hard for you to see on the camera, but it's got a little bit of an orange tint. That's because of the apple cider vinegar. What this does is it fills up, it basically creates a great probiotic for these chickens, and for the rabbits, and for the sheep, to basically give them what their stomach needs to fight any gross things that comes in their stomach. Of course, if you have larger animals, you don't need to measure that much. And I don't do this every day for the larger animals, but really just a couple of glugs of apple cider vinegar in there is all you need. And again, don't feel like you have to do it every day for them. But because these guys are ruminants, unlike chickens and unlike rabbits. Yes, rabbits are not ruminants. They've got their own bacteria in their gut supporting them. And while we're here looking at the sheep, let's talk about tip number 2. It can be used as a natural wormer. So both for sheep or dogs. Really, you make sure you've got a syringe to bolt it right into their mouth. And the measurements are quite easy. It's 1 part water, 1 part apple cider vinegar, 1 part blackstrap molasses. And if you have any garlic or ginger powder lying around, maybe a teaspoon of each of those could certainly help. The reason why I like doing the molasses is because it sweetens it up a little bit for them, but also, as with all probiotics, they need food to eat once they hit the stomach, and the blackstrap molasses just kind of guarantees, it hedges the bets of just having some immediate glucose and sugar for that apple cider vinegar to start multiplying and growing in. Okay, those who have been on this channel for some time, you know that we're a fan of fermenting our chicken feed. Sometimes we get out of the habit or whatever, and so we have a minimum of a 3-day fermentation cycle. If for some reason we're behind in that and we want to ferment and have stuff to put out the next day, dumping in a glug of apple cider vinegar really helps kind of jumpstart that fermentation process. So that's tip number 3. You can ferment feed faster. If you don't know about fermentation for chickens, just 2 quick things. It packs way more nutrients into it, and along with that, it also makes your feed go farther, so you get more feed out of it. Very cost-efficient way to feed your chickens. Okay, tip number 4 and 5 and 6 all require this, and what I'm doing is I'm getting a spray bottle and I'm mixing it with a 50-50 part or a 1-in-1 ratio of apple cider vinegar and water. And this is incredibly useful to just keep handy, especially for those summer months, which, as you can tell, today is absolutely not a summer month, but this is incredibly useful. So let me show you 3 ways to use this formula. Tip number 4, it is a natural disinfectant. So if you've got a situation like a nesting box, you can just spray this in your nesting boxes. This is occupied. All right, reason number 5, very similar to the last reason, but let's say bugs are a problem for you. Luckily, we have this really open air system, and so bugs have never really been a problem with us, although there are times when the area underneath the rabbits has a little bit of bug action going on. But again, the remedy, the exact same thing, okay? What this, if you've, so I live in Utah, where honestly bugs are not the worst thing in the world, but I have lived in Florida before, and I remember for mosquito bites, just spraying some apple cider vinegar on your arms and your neck keeps them away. Okay, and reason number 6, I don't really have something to demonstrate it on today, and I've never had this problem, luckily. But skin conditions for your animals. If you have a skin condition, let's say maybe you've got a rash, or maybe even a flea or a tick bite that looks like it could get infected or whatever, use this stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Spray that on there. I'm not saying it's the best substitute for something serious, but if you don't have a lot of time or don't have the stronger stuff on hand, or it's just a light abrasion, the apple cider vinegar 50-50 mix, again with the mother, is a great substitute to just spray on your animals. It's not gonna, it might sting, as vinegar does, but it's going to clean out the area. Super important. Okay, so remember I said that I was going to show you how to do this on the cheap, or how to make your apple cider vinegar go a lot farther. Let me introduce you to this stuff. This is flavored distilled vinegar. In other words, this is not useful stuff, okay? This is, clean your floors with this, or make a salad dressing with it, but this is not going to really give you what you're looking for. Price difference, I think this was like $4 or $5. This was like $12. Okay, so this is precious. This is not, but here's what I like to do with this to make it go farther. What I like to do is I like to buy a few of these, and when they get to be about a third of the way down, you fill that third back up with this. So it's going to cost you about half a bottle to fill this a third of the way up. And then I like to dump some sugar into it as well. Now what the sugar does is very similar to the probiotic for the sheep. It takes the mother that's within here, that's kind of like the cloudy stuff that usually sits at the bottom after it hasn't been used. Make sure you get a good healthy portion of the mother starter in here and put some sugar in it. Now a lot of people ask me how much sugar. That's up to you. I think a half a cup is overkill. I think a quarter of a cup is maybe the max I would put in for something like this. I think for this, I have used about, I don't know, maybe close to a quarter cup actually. A little less than a quarter cup. What that does is this is a perfect medium for this stuff to grow in. Okay, so which is not immediately useful. You're going to want to let it sit for 2 weeks minimum. But by the end of that, you have something very similar to this. So this is always going to be stronger than this in that scenario. But if you've got larger animals like sheep, and you're using this a lot, this is a great substitute for sheep. In fact, when I was showing earlier me dumping that into the sheep, you probably noticed it was a thicker stream of liquid. That's because it came from this bottle, not this one. Okay, so for tip number 7, which is totally my favorite tip, and I think the most underutilized out of all of these, I actually need to go into the house to do it. And as you may have guessed, it is not for your animal's health or even your land's health, but for your health. So the reason being is that if you homestead or you farm, you know that you don't get days off. Christmas morning, you're out doing chores, right? So you need to take care of yourself. The probiotics and the gut realignment that you will get from taking regular apple cider vinegar with the mother outweighs almost any vitamin that you can take, any daily regimen that you can do for your health. I would say maybe the only caveat to that is regularly drinking your own bone broth, which you should do too. There's not really an exact science here. The thing that you want to do is make sure, this is hard to capture, and I just shook it up, but make sure you shake up your apple cider vinegar with the mother. What that does is it guarantees that you get some of that mother in there. And so you can do like anywhere from a teaspoon to a tablespoon in a glass of water. I've got my Hulk cup so I can get strong like the Hulk. So, it might be half as much more than I want. Cheers. That's how, if it tastes strong and tart, that's how you know you're doing it right. Whew. Whew. So there you go. All right, that's it. Those are my 7 tips. I am really interested to hear what you have to say. Which one is your favorite? And most importantly, which ones did I miss? That's my favorite thing about YouTube, especially the homesteading and small hobby farm community, is that there's so much that we get to share with each other. So if I missed one, please let me know in the comments. Or if you have more tips on the ratios of apple cider vinegar, your favorite brands, let me know. I'd love to hear them. I'm glad you stopped by and watched this video today. I hope you subscribe so I can catch you on the next one. This is PJ with the High Mountain Homestead. Thanks for stopping by.